Okay, guys, time to connect the dots. What's really going on with Russia? All right, so yesterday's video talked about the possibility of war with Russia. First off, you may notice it sounds a little different. I'm using my laptop today. I'm at an undisclosed location. Obviously, yeah, that's happening. But getting back on point, there's things that are happening in the world that people are not connecting the dots to. I don't want to wear tin foil. I do know what I'm talking about as far as data points and connecting the dots. So laying down those breadcrumbs for those to follow and find out, it's important to see that there are connections. So the first thing that pops up is Biden order to ban investment in 59 Chinese defense and tech firms. Now, what does this mean? It's actually pretty simple. In the first paragraph, 3 June, Biden administration will issue a new executive order on Thursday, which was yesterday, that bans U.S. entities from buying or selling publicly traded securities for 59 Chinese companies with alleged ties to defense or surveillance technology sectors, senior administration official says. So basically, they're trying to keep the Chinese, keeping us from manipulating or using anything that is made in China, and vice versa. Tech obviously reaches into everything. We can see it pretty much everywhere. Government use of Chinese drones in limbo as Congress weighs ban. So this is from 2 days prior to that. Basically what's happened is the Chinese are making these super cheap drones, and police departments and government agencies are buying them up by the buttloads because they're cheap, they're high performance, but the government is worried that they're starting to kind of overtake the market, and there's always that worry that somehow the Chinese know exactly what you're doing. There's some chip in there, something embedded in it that's telling everybody what you're doing, and they don't want the government to be doing that. So, remember that, China. All right, so China itself, I don't think they're our enemies. I think that they talk a good game, but they just don't have the nuclear stockpile to really come at us. The Russians, on the other hand, do. In the last video, we talked about the Russians and how they have eliminated or de-dollarized their entire funding system, and they moved away from the system that the U.S. government and all of the world uses, except for like 23 countries, I think, to move money internationally. Well, this headline right here from Zero Hedge: Russia lines up new gold buying through its sovereign wealth fund. This is from May 28th. This was 2 days before they actually did it. 3 days before they actually did it, where they completely de-dollarized. They now are not trading anything using the U.S. dollar or the Shtf system. So what does this translate to? War chest. Let that sink in for a minute. In a significant and strategic development for monetary metals, the government of the Russian Federation has just introduced legislation which allows Russians' giant national wealth fund, war chest, to invest in gold and other precious metals. The NWF is Russia's de facto sovereign wealth fund and has assets of US $185 billion. So think of that, because that's the war chest. Next, 8 countries are preparing for war with Russia. Now, the first thing I'll point my finger to is that right there. I'll use the cursor. April 2nd, 2018. We've always been preparing for war against Russia. 8 countries? Gee, I wonder why. Let's look at these countries. Let's see what we got here. Ukrainian, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Norway, Poland, Finland, and Sweden. Finland and Sweden, I don't think Finland is, it is part of NATO. I don't think Sweden's, they're Swiss. But those were all NATO countries. They're tiny. They're right up against the western border of Russia. And they are U.S. supported as well as NATO, following under the, what is it? I can't remember the article. Basically, you attack one, you attack all, regardless of size. Let that sink in for a second. U.S. actively prepares for war with Russia. Ooh, that's May 31st. That was just 4 days ago. It's quite apparent that everyone that at present the socioeconomic and political situation in the United States is far from stable and society increasingly polarized. In fact, even members of the current U.S. military and political elite admit this is in their public speeches. Hence, President Joe Biden and his team have been trying hard to unite the nation and guide it in a less diverse direction. Okay, that's a load of crap, but the headline should be telling you something. Next, war fears as U.S. nuke bombers and NATO jets send stark warning to Russia, air superiority. This is from the 3rd, yesterday. Basically what they did is they flew a bunch of B-52s right along their border and said, hey, don't mess with us. It's something that they do a lot, but this was actually kind of big. This was kind of like walking the line in the same way that the Russians like to come out and fly right along the U.S. border up there in Alaska just to see what will happen. Yeah, it's starting to get a little real. But there's more. It's deeper than that. It's deeper than that. So we'll get to it in a second, but we have to realize that you have to connect all the dots. You have to know all the little pieces. So war chest is being built. U.S. doesn't like it. Coming off the U.S. dollar, U.S. doesn't like it. Let's go send some planes over and let them know how serious we are about things. Oh, U.S. Navy SEALs are training to fight on land and water in strategic location near Russia. That's interesting. I wonder where that strategic location would be. The exercises were Trojan Footprint 21 and Black Swan 21. That doesn't mean that there were 21 of them. It means that it happened during the year of 2021. That's how those were. SOC here stands for Special Operations Command Europe. Planning both exercises to happen at the same time to simulate a full-blown conflict with Russia, ranging from the Baltic states and Scandinavian south to Ukraine. Here we go, Ukraine. Navy SEALs, special warfare, blah, blah, blah. Yeah, it's, Next one. Ukraine says Nord Stream 2 will destroy their military. Oh, my God. Does anybody know what Nord Stream 2 is? If you've been listening to the news, Biden just helped to approve the restart of Nord Stream 2 pipeline, basically giving Russia the ability to move its oil right through other countries that are NATO countries, and put other people out of business, basically. But in a stronger sense, control the oil that moves from Eastern Europe into Western Europe. You may remember a few years back where we had some problems with Nord Stream number 1, where the Russians had basically shut it off. Even though they said they wouldn't, they did. This is from 2 June. Damage from Nord Stream 2 to Ukrainian military at $3 billion a year. Ukrainian President Zelensky says that the Russian-Germany Nord Stream 2 gas pipeline will cost Ukraine $3 billion a year in lost revenue. Okay, so they're going to lose some money. And obviously it's going to hurt their military. Let's go to RT. Russia will cut Ukraine off from gas after Nord Stream 2 complete, says Kiev's president, bemoaning Western support for supply. So the Ukrainians are not happy about, and sorry for the echo, because it is an undisclosed place. But the Ukrainians are not happy because of the Nord Stream, and we can thank Biden for that. But Russia says, oh, shit. Russia said they would never turn that off. Oh, I closed that out like a dummy. Russia said they would never close. They would never do that. We will never do that to the Ukrainians. Oopsie. But yeah, in January of 2007, they actually did it. Let's see here. Russia turns off oil taps supplying Belarus. Yeah, but they would never do that. I mean, that's just crazy. Yeah, they did it in January of 2020. Russian stirs ethnic division in Ukraine. Oh, we're back in the Ukraine again. In hopes of triggering civil war, says foreign minister. Ethnic division and racial conflicts did not exist in modern Ukraine until 2014, when Russia engineered civil strife to weaken state control. Moscow's efforts to sow discontent here continue 7 years later. Foreign Minister Russian told the Washington Examiner. Oh, it's Ukraine, huh? Okay, on the western border of Russia. U.S. gets ready for war, except cookies, in case U.S. attacks. Yeah, and this goes back to the other one where America's getting ready. I just wanted you to see that they're not these little red hat dudes running around doing nothing. They're an actual military force that does things. So let's see. Russia tells U.S. to expect uncomfortable signals ahead of Putin-Biden summit. All right, now we're starting to get into brass tacks. This is May 30th. The Americans must assume that a number of signals from Moscow will be uncomfortable for them, including the coming days. Russia's deputy foreign minister was quoted as saying by the RIA news agency. So, yeah, if you didn't know, I think it's June 16th. That's when Biden is going to meet with, the president of Russia, and they're going to have a little conversation, and, this is all getting ready for that. Yeah, so expect uncomfortable signals ahead of Putin-Biden summit. Oh, look, a map of Russia. Remember those? You remember those countries that were getting ready? Let's just take a look at the western border of Russia. Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Belarus. Oh, I'm sorry, Belarus. I keep mispronouncing it. Belarus. Oh, where they shut the oil off. Yeah. Ukraine. Ooh, that's kind of interesting. Okay, so connecting those dots, Russia's security strategies envisage forceful methods. I don't know what that word is. Top Kremlin officials say that a revised version of Russia's national security strategy says that it may be forceful. It may use forceful methods to respond to unfriendly actions by foreign countries. What does this mean? It means they're changing their rules so that they can play their own game. It's interesting. Let's see what we got over here. Russia to quit accord that erased Cold War travel curbs for U.S. diplomats. This is from June 2nd. This is 2 days ago. Russia plans to announce its withdrawal soon from a post-Cold War agreement with the United States that erased restrictions on diplomats traveling around each other's countries, Russia's deputy foreign minister said on Wednesday. The 1992 Memorandum of Understanding on Open Lands, which was signed after the Soviet breakup, agreed to do away with closed areas on each other's territories and allow each other's diplomats to travel without seeking permission. Okay. A government order denouncing Russia's memorandum on open lands is on its way, an official was quoted as saying by TASS news agency. Russian Foreign Minister Sergei Lavrov flagged the move in April as part of Moscow's retaliatory package against Washington after the United States expelled 10 Russian diplomats over alleged election interference and other malign actions. Oh, excuse me. So, war chest. Cutting off diplomatic abilities. What could possibly be next? Russian military to add 20 new units in countries west to counter NATO. This is from 4 days ago. Russia's military will form 20 new units in the country's west. Ooh, we've been over this. West. Finland, Estonia, Latvia, Lithuania, Belarus, and the Ukraine. Again, let's go back to that article. Russia will form 20 new units in the country's west this year to counter what it claims is a growing threat from NATO. Oh, yeah, from 2018, where they're preparing for war with Russia. Those 8 countries. The defense minister said on Monday. Sergei Shoigu, that doesn't even sound Russian, made the announcement at a meeting with top military officials. He pointed to a growing number of flights by U.S. strategic bombers near Russia's borders. Oh, didn't we just see that a second ago? Deployments of NATO warships and increasingly frequent and major drills. Ooh, wait a minute, drills. Those 2 exercises, special operations forces, coinciding with each other to show a complete attack. That's a pretty interesting paragraph. He charged that such actions destroy the international security system and force us to take the relevant countermeasures. We will form another 20 units and formations in the Western Military District until the year's end. Guys, I'm not a 10 full hat guy, but I can connect the dots. We literally went through 10 different articles, web pages by date, and showed you where this is all heading. Now, come June 16, we can expect more of this to happen until June 16th, where the 2 presidents meet and they talk. And unfortunately, we can completely expect Biden to capitulate. He clearly used the pipeline, letting it go through. I'm not even sure how he did it, but letting it go through another country. As, I don't know, a sign of, hey, we're not bad guys. I don't know. He's just unbelievably weak. But I'll keep reading, and you guys keep watching. If you like what I'm doing, click the link, get the subscribe, thumbs up, all that crap. I do appreciate your viewership, and I'll keep connecting the dots, and you keep watching. And until then, stay safe.